Ciao ragazzi, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, bentornati sul canale. Sono sempre Francesco, I'm still Francesco. I hope you know me by now. We are here with not the last, but it's going to be one of the last video for the Road to Clash series we are doing. And today with us we have Duncan from the beautiful island of Malta. Hello Duncan.
Ciao.
So guys, we will get to know everybody, everything we want to know about Malta and about Age of Sigmar in Malta. I'm really interested about this episode today because I've actually never been to Malta, even though it's really close to Italy. We are very close by. And for our international listeners who may not be too familiar with Malta, it's an island in the Mediterranean Sea, very close to Sicily. And I'm really interested to see how the game is perceived and lived in a small country like yours. And I'm sure we will have lots of interesting things to talk about.
Yeah, well, when AOS first came out, it wasn't really perceived that great because the community was used to Warhammer Fantasy, right? I
Yeah.
started playing around 8th edition, and the community was quite big at the time. And you know, the people that played Warhammer Fantasy here were they loved the game. They didn't just play the game; they loved it. They loved converting models, painting them, playing the game. They competed in ETC. They, traveled abroad to compete, and they did really well. And when iOS came out, the change in the rules wasn't well perceived, right? It was perceived as being too simple. The fact that you didn't have, flanks and no strength, just everything, So the community, the game died for about a year and a half, 2 years, and then, especially since there were no point values and no streamlined rules.
Yeah.
And then first edition came out of AOS with there were points and the rules were a bit clearer, and we gave it a go. I myself was brought back into it with the release of the book Legions of Nagash. I used to play vampire accounts in 8th edition, and when they released Legions of Nagash, I was like, cool, I can play my models again. So I gave it a try, and I quite enjoyed the game, especially since it was the first time I could actually play the model Nagash, which is my favorite model. So, I still prefer, at the time, I still preferred fantasy because I preferred, the rules of fantasy. But it was the game that there was, we didn't have option to play fantasy anymore. So I went into it with a positive mind, gave it a go, and liked the game. With AOS 2, the game drastically improved, became quite a lot more fair. More armies started to come out, more choice. The narrative was expanded upon, and more people started to give it a go. However, I have to say that very few people of the old community are playing the game.
Oh, right.
Most of the people from the old community transferred to 40K and some other board games, which are not Games Workshop, and stayed there. They still didn't give it a go. But we grew a new community. Now, in 2021, it's almost probably larger than the old community, or almost as large, if not larger. So the community is great. So it took us about 6 years to get here, but we did it.
Yeah, the transition was pretty rough for most old fantasy players, and first edition, probably the first year of AOS was really like a weird sort of kind of fun game, not really serious or anything. So I understand most people who were interested into the competitive side of Warhammer Fantasy were kind of let down and not interested in doing it. So the transition was kind of like this for you as well. You didn't really like it at first, I can imagine.
Yeah, it was quite a change. It wasn't like, okay, we have some new rules. No, it was like even from square bases to round bases. The drastic change from going to such a larger scale, because AOS as a game is on a much larger scale. In fantasy, we didn't used to see large models on the table. Like the largest model you would have seen was, maybe a greater demon, which is the size of a normal character today. But it's quite a different game, and I personally can say that I still miss some of the elements that Warhammer Fantasy Battle suffered.
Mm-hmm.
But AOS is a different game. It's an enjoyable game, and I can't complain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you were a long time Vampire Counts player. That's your favorite army, right?
Yeah, I mean I played Vampire Counts. I started with the 7th edition book, and then I bought the book. I played 2 demo games I think, and then the 8th edition book came out immediately.
Mhm.
I was drawn into them because I remembered the White Dwarf had just come out and the Terrorgeist was just released, and
Oh.
I can remember seeing the Terrorgeist model and fell in love with it immediately. And then I played it on the table. It was, I can say it was a little bit broken as a model at the time, and I fell in love with the model and with the army. And when Legions of Nagash came out, I could play the same models again, and I immediately just bought the book and
Mhm.
just rebased. I was going to rebase my models, and then I just bought new models because I didn't want the hassle of rebasing the army.
Mhm. So you went into AOS playing your Legions of Nagash. Did you stick with it, or did you expand on any other armies later on?
Oh no, no, definitely. I mean, Nighthunt came out. I immediately bought Nighthunt because I love the aesthetic of Nighthunt. But I
Really, yeah.
didn't, I played them for about a month and realized I'm quite a competitive player.
Mhm.
So after playing a month of Nighthunt, I realized that this army is not great. And
Mm.
rules-wise, I mean, flavor-wise and model-wise, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But rules-wise, it's shaky. So I reverted back to my Legions of Nagash with good Grimgust Reaper, so I could still play some Nighthold model. It
Yeah.
was a very good army. Then Flesh Eater Courts came out, and you know, I still love the Terrorgeist model, but it wasn't great in Legions of
Mhm.
Nagash. And when
Mhm.
Flesh Eater Court came out, and with armies playing 2 or 3 of them, I'm like, this is my army.
Yeah.
So I just bought some Terrorgeists, assembled them, and started playing the Monster Mash Crystal Gore, and played that for about a month or so. I reverted back to Legions of Nagash because I still loved how the army played better than
Mhm.
Flesh Eater Courts, because Flesh Eater Courts is quite straightforward. Just put on your big monsters, charge in, and kill. Legions of Nagash is much more diverse.
Mhm.
And then Ozzy Born Reapers came out, and I just fell in love with the aesthetic of the army. I stuck with the army till now. Um, I'm still sticking with it to this day, but going to AS3, I'm a little skeptical about the rules.
Mhm.
Them being a command ability heavy army and the rules
Yeah.
for command ability. So I hope they address that change. But I'm still in love with the army. The aesthetic of the army is my style of army.
Cool. Yeah. So big death fan, right?
Yeah, I just even if another that army comes out, I'm still gonna play OBR, but I'm gonna buy the army. I
Cool.
played that. Through anything that I play, I don't really care what it is.
Yeah. 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 Cool. That makes sense, of course. So, well, I mean, getting to our main topic, I'm just really curious to know how is the community of Age of Sigmar in Malta? How tournaments play? Can we talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, of course. The community is great. We're most of us are guys. We have there's the wife of one of us plays too. So
Oh.
you know, but we're great. It's great. I mean, we're very friendly. We talk to each other. Like during the games, it's going to be some heated moments, but it's all in the spirit of the game. We're
Mhm.
very competitive, even in friendlies and such. We're very very competitive, and I think that helps us when it comes to tournaments. So it helps us drive us forward. But we help each other. We give our ideas. We Most of the time we don't agree on with each other on what we're saying, but we're helpful towards each other. It's not like, even if one of us maybe wants to try another army, instead of having to buy it, we borrow stuff from each other. We're very helpful like that. It's continuously growing. In fact, we have some new players trying the game. They're quite young, so that's good because they can grow up with the game. Maybe when you're older, it's a little bit more difficult to get into
Mhm.
it. But our community keeps growing, and since the fact that we're very helpful towards each other, very friendly, I mean, it helps grow the community. We're a very small country, and we have one hobby shop where we can go and play. So if the
Okay.
community is terrible there, it's bad, because there's no other. You can't go somewhere else where the community is better. So it's very important that whoever joins the community, is helpful, is nice, is you can be competitive, you can be cutthroat, as we say on the game, but try to be still try to be friendly, and we know each other even outside of the game. Like, we go out with each other, we have drinks together. So it's much more than a community. It's a group of friends.
Well, yeah, that's important, because just like you said, if you only have one like shop or like point where you guys can meet and play, it's important to have like a very tight community, a good group of friends, because I mean the space and the places are not as many as in other countries. I can imagine, right? And is it like in your capital in Valletta or anywhere else?
No, it's actually in Msida.
Uh-huh.
It's
Right.
it's about a 5 minute drive out of Valletta.
Oh, okay.
Malta being very small, it's not going to be. It's still in Msida. That's quite a small shop. I mean, compared to some other hobby shops you can visit outside of Malta, but it's big enough that the community can play and enjoy the game, in all commodities.
Yeah. And do you guys have tournaments there as well?
Yes, yeah, we try to organize about a tournament once a month. If
Cool.
with COVID and restrictions going out, it has been difficult in the past 2 years, a year and a half or so. But we just finished an ongoing tournament we had, which dragged out for much more than we hoped because of COVID. We couldn't meet and play the games. And yeah, but now obviously with testing and preparing for the clash, obviously we're not organizing tournaments, so we're just testing and helping each other test for the tournament.
Yeah, you guys are in this weird spot where everybody else from the national teams we are stuck playing second edition while everybody else is excited and playing third edition. But I don't know about you, but I'm still trying out some third edition games because it's too interesting, too cool not to try it.
Honestly, I tried, me myself personally, most of the people in the team tried to not care about third edition as much until the tournament is over, because we don't want to start mixing up rules, and because some rules have changed drastically, others changed only like in some details, and we don't want to mix those details, because once you start reading different rules, sometimes you get confused. So we're still obviously following releases and models and reading up, but trying not to actually play games so we don't get confused. And since most of us are coming to the clash, some are playing the tournament, the team event, and some are playing the singles, there's only like 4 or 5 guys who are not playing in the clash, and so they're stuck either playing just with each other or playing second edition with us to help us test for the tournament.
Okay,
so
right.
the third edition is not exactly didn't start yet in Malta. It's on hold.
Yeah, that's more people playing still playing second edition than people going into third edition. That's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, with such a big event, I think it's understandable to be committed like this, even though probably most of us would really be already playing third edition. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a good bargain to keep third edition at bay for a little bit and attend this event we have in September. Yeah. So you were talking about this group of guys you have here. Just out of curiosity, how many players do you think there are in Malta?
Active players, we're about, I want to say 21, I think, something like that.
Cool. I mean, with such a small player base, it should be pretty hard to select a team. Not because like in other countries there's too many players, but the fact that it's not many players, it's probably hard, and also the fact that you probably know all of each other, so it's probably, I don't know, maybe hard to not get mad maybe if you're not selected or something else. So I don't know, how was it for you to go over and organize the team?
Honestly, since we found out about the clash last minute, we had to decide quickly. So what we did for this year, at least, we just decided on the players based on the armies, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like we said, okay, so we're going to play 6 armies. And which armies are these going to be? Obviously, we try to decide on the most powerful armies, or the armies that we know. So then, after we decided on the armies, we sat down and we were like, okay, who knows each army best? and we tried to decide the players on those bases without obviously offending anyone. Trying to, at least. We obviously explained. I explained to everyone how I think it should be done,
Mm-hmm.
because I can understand some people wanting to join the team and telling them you can't join the team because of the army might be a little hard to do, or maybe ill perceived. But as I said, we're quite close, so the guys immediately understood, since we didn't have enough time to test and to see, and they're like, makes sense, sure, go for it. And so we decided on the 6 players and the seventh, a replacement and the coach. And we went with those, no hard feelings. Like we have a limited amount of time to decide, so we can just take a month to test and see who's best. We just need to decide on the armies, and that's it, because it's since we have to start painting and see what models we need and how we're going to build the armies. We had to cut the line somewhere, and the line was, if the army is decided on and you have been playing the army, just you're in the team.
Yeah, well, since you guys didn't have too much time on your hands, probably the wisest thing to do, because I mean, without too much time to practice, whoever has the most practice with each army is probably the best one to take it to Milan in September, because I mean, there's, as you said, there's lots of room for people to play on the singles event as well, which should be really cool. But yeah, the team event is much more polarized, and you have to make much more extreme lists. For example, there are just designed to be team lists instead of single event lists, because the pairings are strict and special, and maybe something that works that has, like, I don't know, 1 or 2 strengths, or a couple of weaknesses for a single event. You might have just an all-out big strength on, I don't know, combat, and a huge weakness on magic, because you are planning on pairing that team, that army with the right counter army, so you can perform as well.
That's why I wanted players who already knew the army, so they can tell me what strengths and the weaknesses they think they know the army have. Because I try to learn most of the armies, but if I don't play it, I can't be 100% sure about what I'm strong and what I'm weak against. So I'd rather have the player himself tell me, listen, I'd rather play against this than that. And to do that, you need players who are experienced with the army.
Yeah.
So with the limited amount of time we had to just go for this method of picking the players.
But well, I think it's gonna be a good first trial for you guys, and the good thing as well is that we are going to have another event in spring, right? The whole Elseworlds organization and events is going to get moved to spring instead of late summer, which is going to be better, because it's going to be before the end of the season. It's going to be in third edition, in this current third edition, the GUR kind of battle pack that came out.
Before the new GHB comes out.
Yeah, exactly. So it's gonna be a cool way to end the season, a good way to say goodbye to the season, and then we'll have a whole year to practice the other season, the following next season that's gonna come out in 2022, and so I mean, it's gonna be probably also helpful to have feedback from you guys as attenders, as attendees, and it's going to be also probably helpful for you guys to get ready for the next event next year.
It's funny, we found out about this event because 2 of us traveled to Poland to play a tournament in Poland. And a guy there told them, you don't know about this, there's this clashes awards for iOS, and they came back, and one of us wrote in the chat, one of the 2 who went to Poland, there's words for iOS, like, okay, this is the first time we're hearing about it. These guys organize the words, there's a team event, there's a singles event. So why immediately, it was always something I wanted to play Warhammer Blood. So I wrote to the organizers, and they told us, listen, it's not too late, but it's you're we're very late, so if you want to join, you have to do this, and that. And I wrote in the chat, you have a group chat for the whole community, and I'm like, listen, it's not too late to participate, but we need to be fast. Are we going to do this or not? And everyone's kind of in a first instinct reply like, what are we going to do? I don't have enough time. And I'm like, do we want to do this or not? And they're like, sure, I guess go for it. And and Rob paid the membership, and went to Discord, started to do the team, and all in a matter of a couple of days. Like I think it was 3 or 4 days. We had to choose the team and everything. It was like it was crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine it's kind of hard to just also book tickets, book accommodation, everything else. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But
especially
cool.
in Milan.
Oh yeah, I've just come back from Milan this weekend, and yeah, we've been lucky enough to have a hotel next to this actual location. It's not going to be the one where we will be in September, but yeah, it can be expensive, especially if you come from another place or another city. Even big cities are expensive in Italy. It's probably a matter of this. I have this final thought, and I'm curious to have your closing thoughts after this, because I was thinking that we are actually pretty close, and we have a really good current tournament scene, which is still growing and growing every year. It would really be cool to see you guys come down or fly over to attend some tournaments, because I don't know how the flights are, but if you guys are, I was thinking if you guys are down to fly up to Poland, it's probably easier to fly over to Italy if you want to play with us.
Fair, I don't think the flights is the problem. I think sometimes it's the accommodation. The flights were, I'm not going to say too cheap, but they were affordable. I mean, not crazy expensive.
Yes.
In Milan, the problem was the accommodation, which is much more expensive.
Of course.
But probably after this first experience, we're going to for sure we're going to try to attend the next Worlds in spring, obviously. But we'll try to attend some tournaments abroad. Work and school permitting, obviously.
Of course, yeah. We have events, scheduled events every year in Milan and Rome. So, and maybe somewhere else, but Rome and Milan should be a staple from this September onwards. And I can obviously tell you in advance, so if you guys are interested, we can organize it.
Yeah, I mean, probably. Obviously, I'm going to be interested, and most of the guys are going to be interested. So I would like to see, the schedule, and we'll try, because not most of us, all of us work, or me myself, I'm still at university, so
sure.
It might be a little difficult, but if it's on a weekend, for example, it could be much. We could fly for the weekend, play the tournament, and fly back on Sunday or something like that. So
yeah, sure.
We'll give it a thought for sure.
No worries. Yeah, when you have such important guests from abroad, I'm sure we can have somebody drive you to the airport. But yeah, we digress, because this is gonna be for the future.
Yeah, of course.
And I mean, thank you so much for being here. Do you have any final closing thoughts about this? Anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, we're all excited for the tournament. We're all hyped. We're all excited. Want to come play. Try to do our best. And for most of us, me personally, for sure, and I think most of us except for one, it's the first experience abroad. In such a an important event, because the one in Poland was more like a local tournament. But we have our coach has been to ETC before as a coach, so he has some experience there. But most of us, we don't have an experience with such a big tournament, and we're very excited to participate. Meet people from abroad. Just it's an experience that everyone wants to have, and we're excited, and we can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to meet you guys there. Okay.
Yeah. Me too.
All right, man. Thank you so much, and have a great day, and we will keep in touch definitely for the future.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
See you, man.